Hi, Bob Guerin here with Synergy Kettlebell Training. Welcome to part 4 of the anatomy of the snatch. We are making you and your kettlebell techniques more efficient by refining what you do so that you are the most economical that you can be. Parts 1, 2, and 3 we talked about each part of the snatch and broke it down individually, and if you haven't watched those, I definitely encourage you to do that. In this segment we're going to talk about all 3 parts working together and then some common mistakes. So I'm going to take it as if you watched all 3 parts, so I'm not going to go and review those. I'm just going to perform the technique for you to see the demonstration, and then we're going to talk about common mistakes. Okay, so I had my pinky turned up with the backswing. I use my hips to pull to accelerate it up there. And in the beginning, while you're still trying to practice and perfect your hip pull, it's okay to exaggerate it so that it gets embedded in your mind. And then step 3, I was leaning back and deflecting as I waited for my elbow to connect to my torso before I bent over. And then my backhand hit my inner thigh as my hand then rolled with the weight of the gravity, kind of flowed with it, so my pinky ended up at the top for the next part of the backswing to accelerate the bell for the next rep. Common mistakes. People put their feet too wide. They bend too early, and the hand position, which they usually will grip the bell. Look at the nature of orientation of my wrist there. It's bent back, not good, especially with heavier weights. And then they pronate, they inward rotate the bell once it's up at the top for lockout. So, how to fix those? Biggest thing for the feet is just to make sure your feet are far enough apart just to get the bell through the knees. The bell should pass through without obviously hitting them, but they should not be any further than that. The farther they are, the less stable you are. The more you're working to use your legs to stabilize you, and that's going to work those muscles, creates an energy loss, and that's not as efficient. So we want, again, the feet straight down from the hips. Okay. The next one is bending too early. So really, you just have to consciously think about waiting for that connection. So as I mentioned in part 3 is the deflection. So lean back, visualize your torso as a table. It's laying flat and your arm's just going to drape across it and pull you forward. So what I like to do again is raise up on my toes so my heels come up, which brings my elbow to that table, my torso table sooner, and then I drop to my heels, back down, and bend. Because the weight of my arm and bell being straight is going to pull me forward rather than me actively bending forward. So it's more of a passive bend because it's inadvertently being that I'm pulled forward by the arm and the bell. So wait for that connection, the connection of the elbow on the torso. Third is hand position. Hand position should be relaxed, fingers, okay? You should have the forearm fully relaxed, squishy muscles in here. And then I like calling this a duck, quack, quack, quack. Until you get used to this, put your fingers straight up like a mohawk. It's going to be using your hand and your finger muscles and your forearm muscles a little bit more, but it's better than gripping it. You never want to death grip the bell handle, because then that's going to weaken your grip. And the first thing to go usually with the kettlebell snatch is your grip. So you want to preserve it. So the duck is going to push your wrists forward, relax the fingers, and then the hands fully relaxed. And your thumb is a ledge. So the bell handle will sit there on the ledge. Diagonal down the palm, resting on the wrist on the other side, like so. So I'm in the rack, of course, but this is the same thing as if I'm overhead. So that's how we want to do that. If you find yourself where it's bent back, you want to look at your hand insertion timing here. So as it's wrapping around, we don't want it to go up and over. We want it to wrap around the wrist. That hand insertion timing should be where you're forcing your wrist forward into that duck position. Okay? Last one is the inward rotation. So it spins inward, like so. Comes in like that, and then we reset it. So the inward rotation like that is going to weaken your shoulder and elbow. If you have heavy weights, you can injure yourself by doing that. So be very conscious of having your thumb pointing back as much as you can, and then the pinky pointing forward. So the elbow locked, bicep by the ear, stable, fixated, thumb pointing back. If your shoulders don't allow you to do that and you're not flexible enough, then have it as far pointing back as you can. It might be somewhat angled, but we want to make sure that we don't allow it once it's coming up with the momentum to take it through and continue rotating, because that twisting motion is not good for the elbow and the shoulder. So be conscious of all those things. Think about the hand position, the elbow position, and a foot position. Those 3 technique tips with everything you're doing, kettlebells. Have an awesome day, and if you have any questions on the series, let me know. I like hearing from you, and if you have any feedback, I like hearing that too. So watch parts 1, 2, and 3, and have an awesome day.